when the patient cannot speak, unconscious, bedridden, or they do not know, they cannot do by themselves. They do not know what is happening around them. Then how they are going to take care of their oral hygiene? Their mouth care is very, very important. Okay. Okay. So what are all the assessment we are going to do? We can ask the patient if they are conscious. Okay. How often they brush their teeth? Is it twice a day or thrice a day? Some people have the habit of brushing their teeth after each meal. They want to keep their mouth very clean. Okay. And how often they visit the doctor? What is their self-care ability? In the sense, for example, you're seeing in this picture, this patient hand is broken. So someone has to help him getting all the things, then he can brush by himself, isn't it? Or maybe an unconscious patient who cannot do anything by himself. And if he has any problems, okay, we'll see what are the problems. But if he has some dental caries or some brown discoloration, yellow discoloration, some deposits or teeth pain, gum pain, any bleeding, okay, generally all these things we will be asking the patient. Okay, we'll see some of the problems. There are many problems, but I'm going to discuss only about the important problems. Okay, the first problem is called tartar. Okay, what is tartar? If you see what I have written, tartar is a visible hard deposit of plaque. Okay, there is a word called plaque. Okay, Plaque. We should call it as plaque. Plaque means, see, all the yellowish discoloration, the deposits which are there, after you eat, if you are not taking care of washing your mouth properly, especially it is written that when you are taking a lot of sugary foods, okay, chocolates, ice creams, and cold beverages, cold drinks like, what do you say, Dew and Sprite and so many other things are there, right? When we take all those things, it is a very jollyhood time for the bacteria which are present in your mouth. What do? Bacteria just love sugary food items. So they go and eat up all those things and they multiply and they grow faster. So when it is happening like that, they secrete the waste of the bacteria, whichever is coming out of that bacteria, they get deposited on the teeth. Okay, that is what is called plaque. When the plaque is there for a long duration, okay, when you're having the plaque for a long time, when a plaque is there, it becomes very hard, like some calcium also joins with that and it gets deposited together. In some people's teeth, you will find some white, thick discoloration. Okay, it's like a deposit. So the yellowish discoloration will become almost white in color. Okay, and that will be there in the teeth. That is called tartar. It is just the first stage. When you don't care about it more and more, it goes to the next stage called pyorrhea. Pyo means pus. You know what is pus? Whenever we have some wound, severe pain, tenderness, sometimes we'll have fever and yellow discoloration. Smell, bad smell will come because it is infected. So from that, the discharge, what comes is called pus. Okay, it can happen in your teeth also. When you have a lot of deposition of tartar and plaque, you will have infection and the gums will become inflamed. They swell. Because of that, the tooth become very loose. They are not standing in that gum, whatever is there. And you will find gum bleeding. You see this third one, this is the advanced stage. We call it as gingivitis. What is gingivitis? Red, swollen gingiva. Gingiva is gum. Okay, gum. The portion which is above the teeth. You will have bleeding, there will be severe pain, and sometimes there is gap between all those teeth. Okay, and it is very painful and you will get bad smell also. Okay, what is a bad smell called? Halitosis. Okay, it is there. I want all of you to, I'm sure you have got your textbook. Go back today. There is a box which is there. Some more conditions are there, which are very easy for you to understand. Bad breath from the mouth, bad smell from the mouth is called halitosis. Okay, these are all some important terminologies you should know. Okay, so when we come across some of these conditions, okay, and there are some more conditions which I said, like, do you remember there will be a black color hole in some of the teeth, which is called dental caries, or we call it as cavity. There is a hole. So this is very common in children. The next stage is these bacteria will eat up your teeth itself. So you will have severe pain, you have sensitivity, you have to go and remove it, and so many things are there. Okay, so I want you to read. There are some more problems which are explained in your book. So which patients are very prone to get this oral problems? Okay, you yourself can understand. When I don't have a knowledge that I need to keep my mouth clean, what type of food I should eat, when I don't know that, definitely I'm prone to get problems. Okay, the second one, the patients who are in the hospital, who are seriously ill, they are confused, they are in coma, they are depressed, they have some other illness, maybe some vomiting, continuously they are vomiting, so they are dehydrated. Such patients, they cannot maintain their oral hygiene. Okay, the nurse is going to take care of such patients when they come to hospital. And have you, I think in my orientation, I said about nasogastric tube, a patient who's not taking orally because some disease is there, and we have put a tube inside his nose and it goes directly into the stomach. So the mouth is not at all used. You're not giving any food, or you're not rinsing, or you're not giving any care, mouth care. Such patients also are prone to have bad smell and things like that. Then those who are receiving oxygen. So continuously oxygen is going on, and it is difficult for them to eat or speak, or salivation is reduced, dryness of mouth is there. So that is also a problem. Then another important thing is those who had surgery. Okay, they have undergone some oral surgery, some teeth is removed, or some surgeries are done in the mouth, some problem in the tongue. Okay, so such patients also cannot take care of their oral hygiene. Then those who are heavy smokers, what will happen? The nicotine, the substance, the toxic substance which is there in smoking, can get deposited on the teeth. Most of their teeth are brown in color. Okay, you can make out from the color of the teeth. Maybe they are using alcohol, or too much of salt, too much of sugar, and some medications. Okay, there is a medication which is given for epilepsy. I don't know whether you know what is epilepsy. Okay, I'll try to tell it in Arabic. Epilepsy is Sara. Do you get what I'm saying? The fits. Sometimes they get fits, the whole body moves, they are vigorously shaking, then after some time they are fine. Do you understand what I'm saying? The condition, maybe I'm not pronouncing it correct. Such patients, we give some medications for that. And you know that medication can cause swelling of the gum. It can cause bleeding from the gums. This is the side effect of that medication. Okay, so like that, sometimes because of some medication also, they will have this problem. Okay, and the last one is when they are on some treatment like radiation. Have you heard what is radiation? Have you heard of this radiation? Which type of patients receive radiation? Anybody?
Cancer.
Very good. So people who are having cancer, we give radiation. So that also can cause problems in the mouth. How? It causes severe dryness. Okay, that condition is called xerostomia. Okay, don't worry about all that. Severe dryness of mouth will be the side effect of radiation. Okay, so those patients also cannot maintain their oral health. So these are all some of the patients who are prone to oral problems. So knowledge they lack. Okay, especially I want you to remember, in lack of knowledge, even the food items, as I told you, chocolates, ice creams, and cold drinks, And actually, can any of you tell me what type of food item is good for them for oral health? There is a specific topic on that. What type of food items are important for keeping your teeth healthy? Anybody? From your mic. Chat, I cannot read. I'm seeing some of you are putting in chats, but I cannot go out of the screen. Can someone, what type of food items can improve your oral health? Okay, they are saying crunchy vegetables and fruits. What are the crunchy vegetables and fruits? Apple, carrots, okay, the raw ones which you can bite and eat. Such things are helping in your oral hygiene, and also they protect your enamel, which is covering your teeth. So it is good for you. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, instead of taking a lot of carbohydrate food, you need to take a lot of fiber food also. That is very important for your dental hygiene. So you should know in the knowledge what foods to avoid, what foods you can take. Okay. And so what are the nursing diagnoses? So all these hygienic needs are coming under self-care deficit. What they cannot do by themselves, we are helping them. Okay. So we see again, this is self-care deficit, but you have to be specifically mentioning oral hygiene, maybe related to like we saw about patients who are depressed, dementia, Alzheimer's, okay, some psychiatric problems. So it can be that. And the another diagnosis which you can think of is when I said about radiation causing dryness and the bacteria which is growing more and more can cause ulcers. You know what is ulcer? Some wound which is there in the mouth. So impaired oral mucous membrane related to poor hygiene. So if you're not going to maintain your hygiene, you can get ulcers, you can get some other problems also. All right. So how do we manage them? We will be giving oral care. The patients who can do by themselves, we will be collecting all the things, going to their bedside, assisting them in brushing their teeth. If they cannot do by themselves, especially for unconscious patient, we are going to learn a separate procedure. Anyway, I want to tell few points about it before that. Okay, you can use two methods. One is brushing, the other one is flossing. Have you heard about flossing? How many of you do flossing? I'm sure all of you have heard about it. Anyway, we'll be showing it to you next week in our laboratory session also, so don't worry. Okay, we are going to talk about the different ways of brushing, from which direction to which direction, and what is flossing. Flossing is nothing but a like a small thread, like for beauty parlors, we go and do eyebrows and lips and all that. No, same like that, threads are used, and in between the teeth. Okay, there is a separate procedure for that. We will be teaching you how we should roll it in your hands and how we are going to do it between each of the gap between two teeth. Okay, so mainly, as I spoke about the tartar, isn't it? So if you have all those deposits there, if we can brush our teeth daily carefully, and if we can floss frequently, we will not have such deposits in our mouth. So flossing is very important. Brushing is mandatory. If you can do at least 2 times a day, it's very good. Minimum 2 times, okay? Morning and before you go to bed. Because from night till the next meal in the morning, it's a longer gap. So if you don't clean your mouth in the night, what will happen? There is a long gap you are giving for the bacteria to enjoy in your mouth. It can cause bad smell. It can also cause problems. Okay. So if we have patients who are admitted in the ward, we monitor them for dryness of oral mucosa. Okay. You can ask me, what if they have dryness? Okay. We have some candies which can stimulate salivation. So they will have more salivation. We can give them frequently some fluids. Okay, by this way, we can take care of their dryness problem. Then we can monitor for signs and symptoms of mouth problems. For example, the bad smell which is coming, or the deposits, the discoloration, bleeding, all that you can assess. Okay, then assist dependent patients with oral care. So those who are unconscious, how we are going to take care of their oral care? It's a very big procedure. It's very important for your exam also. So we will be teaching you in detail. Okay, but I want to introduce one term. Okay, it is called gag reflex. G-A-G, that's all. Okay, what is gag reflex? Can anybody tell me what is gag reflex? Okay, it is as simple as that. For me, okay, if I put my hand, morning I want to brush my teeth, I want to clean my mouth and all very well. Okay, so if I put my hand inside, what is the feeling I will have? I will want to vomit, isn't it? Like that I will do, isn't it? That is because of one of the cranial nerves. I'm sure you all have studied in anatomy physiology, 12 cranial nerves. And one of the cranial nerves help in this reflex. This is called gag reflex. Okay, now why is it important? Why gag reflex is important? Anybody? Shall I call out name? Aisha Al-Awaisi. Why do you think this gag reflex is important for us?
To take all the bacteria and microorganisms in their mouth.
Okay, very good. If you want to swallow something, or if something is coming from inside, okay, you know to control it, isn't it? But you should remember, a patient who's unconscious, they lose this gag reflex. Most of them do not have gag reflex. So what will happen? This gag reflex is very important, so that the food will go into the footpath only. Do you get what I'm saying? Because you know, from the throat, there is a way for air also to go inside. There is a way for food also to go. So these patients, they don't have gag reflex. So when you are giving mouth care, can you just pour water inside their mouth and just quietly stand like that? What will happen? All the water which you give will go into their lungs. They do not have that capacity to bring it out. Okay, because we have the capacity to bring it out, we are just keeping in the mouth, gargle nicely and spitting it out. But unconscious patient cannot do that. So we should remember one point, okay, that before we want to give mouth care for any patient, they should be conscious. Okay, we are not going to check their gag reflex because they are already unconscious. So the procedure is going to be totally different, not like taking a brush and pouring water inside, not like that. Okay, we will see in the lab how we are going to do that. Don't worry about it now. We have a separate solution for that, liquid for that, and procedure is different. We'll be doing suctioning in between. You know what is suctioning? The machine will suck out all the water. We pour little water, but the machine will suck it out so that the patient will not. What is the complication we are preventing? Did any of you get it? Can anybody tell me?
Choking.
Okay, very good. It's
Choking.
a simple term called choking, but in medical terms, it's called aspiration. A-S-P-I-R-A-T-I-O-N. Okay, very good. Okay, so you have to talk to the patients about when you're discharging them. If you find some patients not maintaining their oral health, you can give health education. Okay, this can save them from many problems which they can get in future. Okay, shall we see one question regarding oral care? Can you answer me? Please read. The client is unresponsive, so unconscious, okay, and he requires total care by the nursing staff. Which assessment does the nurse check first before providing special oral care to the patient? Can one of you unmute and tell me, please? I see a lot of chats.
The answer C, gag reflex.
Okay, do you get it now? This is the spelling for that. It is called gag reflex. Okay, this is a very important point in the exam also. That's why I have taken this MCQ question so that you will remember it always. Okay, so special oral care for unconscious patient. Gag reflex is very important. This is to prevent aspiration. Okay, don't forget. Sorry. Okay, now we'll go on to hair. Okay, though hair is something for beauty, it has some health related significance also, isn't it? So females will beautify the hair. For males also, hair is important. For everybody, hair is important. Okay, you're looking at someone who's having full oily, greasy, or the hair is, when you look at it itself, you will know that it is not healthy. So what will be your response? What will you do? As I said in body smell, we do not want to go near to that person. We do not want to touch their hair, isn't it? All of us take care of our hair. We oil it, we take a hair wash, we shampoo it, we take shower. So many care we give for our hair. Okay, some of us go to beauty parlor to have some oily massage and things like that. And we cut it, we trim it. So many things we do. Okay, so how are we going to take care of the patients who are admitted in the hospital? We need to take care of their hair also, isn't it? But this is not our daily routine. I want you to remember this, like bed bath or taking care of their mouth. This is not daily care, okay? Because we nurses have a lot of responsibilities. If we are going to give hair wash for every patient daily, it is not possible. It's impossible. Okay, so what we concentrate is, at least for a patient who's admitted in 2 months, 3 months in the hospital, at least once in a week or once in 10 days, we will be giving hair wash. But before that, what are all the assessment we are going to do on those patients? Okay, so what is the hair care practice? Do they oil their hair daily, or do they, some people have the habit of washing hair daily, some people alternate days, some people only once in a week. Okay, each culture also differ with the hairstyle and the hair care practices. So we need to identify all those things. And if they have any scalp problems, okay, how much they can do by themselves now, of course, that we will be checking. And history of hair or scalp problems. Okay, we are going to see next what are some of the problems which we will be assessing on the patient. And we will see what are some of the problems. Okay, the second problem, dandruff. I'm sure all of you know about it. Many of us also have this problem in a season when the climate is changing from very hot to cold season. Many of us have this problem because our scalp gets dried up fast, and you will find a lot of these small white powdery or sometimes flaky skin which is coming out of your scalp. Okay, it causes itching. And these patients who are there in the hospital, when they're lying down for a long time and the hair gets dried up, if nobody is taking care of them, they can have this problem. Okay, and this another problem called scabies. I'm not sure whether it is common in Oman, but in some countries where they all live crowded, like in a very small house, there may be 10 people living. Okay, so what happens? This scabies is one type of organism which can affect the skin. It is not specifically for the hair. It can affect the skin. It will cause severe itching. Okay, and this can spread to the next person. See, you're sharing the same towel, you're sharing some bed sheets, all those things in the same house. So the whole family will be infected. And this can affect your scalp also. Okay, and the third problem, commonly seen only for females. Okay, it is called pediculosis or lice. I don't know what is it called in Arabic. If you all know, please share it. I do not know the word, but they are small things which are inside the hair. Especially they are seen behind the ears, and they suck out all the blood, and severe itching in the night so that they cannot sleep. And it can spread from one female to another female when they are all sharing some common rooms. Okay, and ticks. ticks are also some small, like this lice. They're also very small. Mostly they are seen in the animals. If we have dogs or cats at home, from them it can come on to us. Okay. And this second point, hair loss. Okay, there is a terminology for that. It's called alopecia. Okay, Alopecia. When you come to lab, it is there in the lab manual. Okay, this is very, very important term. So the previous slide, what is very important is the middle one, dandruff. Okay, please be aware of these terminologies. In the second slide, the second point, hair loss, the medical terminology is called alopecia, Alopecia. Why is it very important? Because it's very common in hospitalized patients. One is maybe they have some mineral deficiency, like when they have less iron, it can cause hair loss. Okay, have you heard about chemotherapy? Can anybody say what is chemotherapy, for which type of patients we give that?
Cancer.
Yes.
Cancer patient.
Very good, very good. So cancer patients, we usually give radiation, we give chemotherapy, and they are all very powerful drugs. Okay, they cause, if you have seen any of the patients with cancer, you will understand almost no hair will be there in their head. Like that, that is called alopecia. Okay, so what can we do for that? We cannot do anything. We will be reassuring the patient once the treatment is over, the hair will start to grow. So we can only reassure them like that. Okay, so these are all some of the common problems you will find in patients with diseases. The third one, already we have seen, hirsutism. Hirsutism is excessive hair growth, especially for females. I said there should not be any hair in the face, but like a male person, they will have some excessive hair growth. This is mostly found in people who are having some hormonal problems or some medications. Okay, some steroid, some medications what they need to take can also cause this problem. So this is also called as self-care deficit. We bring it under grooming. What is grooming? What did I say on the first day about grooming? We saw the definition of personal hygiene is cleanliness and grooming. What is that?
Using makeup.
Okay. Okay, very good. Not only makeup, at least ordinary combing, dressing, and makeup. All these are called grooming. Okay, looking neat, looking presentable, it's called grooming. So we also have to take care of the grooming of the patient in the hospital. One of that is combing their hair. Okay, so self-care deficit, it is grooming related to they cannot do by themselves, activity intolerance, immobility, they cannot move. Okay, so if they cannot move, how they will go and take hair wash? Okay, maybe they have pain in the upper extremity, some fracture is there, they cannot use their hand to do that, or they are unconscious. Okay, or they are sometimes depressed. Okay, all these psychiatric problems can cause problem in self-care deficit. They are not at all interested in anything around them. They don't want to take bath, they don't want to eat, they don't want to dress up. They are smelling very badly, but they do not know about it. So when they have some mental health problem, there can be self-care deficit also. Okay, if you think about some of the problems like the dandruff and other things, you can think of this diagnosis, impaired skin integrity. We saw about scabies. Yeah, scabies, I said itching all over the body and it can affect your scalp also. So this can be impaired skin integrity. The skin is itching all the time. Can you read that word pruritus? Impaired skin integrity related to pruritus. Pruritus means itching. Okay, everywhere you want to itch, everywhere you are just going on scratching. This is called impaired. This is called pruritus. Okay, impaired skin integrity. Why? When there is itching, you have sharp nails, long nails, continue to do that. What will happen? Bleeding. You will get here and there, some skin will peel off and you will get bleeding. That is why it's called impaired skin integrity. And what is the next stage? When you have open wound, there can be infection. risk for infection. Bacteria will feed on that and bacteria will multiply over there and you will get infection. All these things are problem. Okay, and then one more diagnosis you can think of is disturbed body image. Why disturbed body image? What is this called? What is alopecia? I already said. Alopecia, hair loss, right? Okay, when you have hair loss, you feel so ashamed to go anywhere. I was having full, long, neat black hair or brown hair. But today, because of my treatment, it is empty. Okay, so they feel so ashamed. They feel that there is some disturbance in their body image. Their beauty is no more, all those things, especially for females. This is very, very, very important. Okay, so any of these nursing diagnoses you can write for these patients. Okay, so how are we going to take care of them? So the implementation, what we are going to do is brushing and combing the hair daily. Okay, shampooing the hair. As I told you, we cannot do that daily. Maybe at least once in a week, we can give shampooing the hair. And we are going to see this procedure in the laboratory. Okay, how do we shampoo the hair of a patient? We will see. And for male patients, I have seen some patients who are admitted in the hospital for even 3 months, 4 months. Imagine their beard and mustache and all, it will be very long. So we can arrange for some barber to come, okay, every week or something to clean up these patients. Okay, we cannot neglect that care. They are not asking us to do, but at least we should arrange for someone to come and clean up these patients. So that is also our responsibility. Okay, so brushing, combing the hair, shampooing the hair, and also arranging for someone to take care of their beard and mustache. Any doubts so far? I think it's very easy. It's all very easy, self-explanatory to understand. Okay. Okay, we'll come to the last things. Ears, eyes, and nose. Okay, in this slide, I have put all these three together. They all don't need special care. Okay, ears, when do they need care? When we are going to give bath, we'll just clean the outer part of the ear. But if they have some excessive wax, we call it as wax, isn't it? Ear wax, or they call it as cerumen, then they have to go to the doctor. Maybe they have to put some ear drops, soften it, it will come by itself. Okay, we are not going to do all those things. Only outside what we can see in the ear, we can clean up when we are giving bath for the patients. Okay, now there are some elderly patients or some people who were deaf for using some hearing aids, the electronic devices. If they are having it in the hospital, we should know how to clean it. Okay, just to remove it, and each one has got some information. You can wash it with warm water and soap and wipe it and fix it on the patient. Okay, if there are many different types of hearing aids. There are some which can be inserted inside. There are some which can be kept outside. There are different ones which are there. And later when you go to adult health nursing 2, you will be learning about all these things in detail. How do you care for the patient? Now that is not our topic. When you're giving hygienic, when you're meeting the hygienic need, how we are going to, if there is a hearing aid, how do we use it? That's all. Okay, then eyes. Eyes also, they don't need a separate eye care. Okay, you will find most of the time there may be some secretions when they get up in the morning. All of us have that. After sleep, when we get up, there may be some amount of dirt and secretions there. So along with the bath, it is all cleaned up. Okay, when we are going to talk about a bed bath, this is also covered. When you come to the lab, we will be teaching you next week. Okay, and if the patients are having some eyeglasses or contact lens, then how we should use that is different. Okay, and eyeglasses, warm water and without any rough area. Okay, soft tissue or soft cloth, you use and wipe it. If you are going to use the rough one, it can cause scratches in the eyeglasses. Okay, contact lens, you know, there is a different case and there is a different liquid, how it should be cleaned. If patient is awake, he will do by himself. Just maybe help him. His things may be there, you can take and give and things like that. So eye care also is not separately a procedure. Okay, and nose, no need to care for them at all. If they are conscious, give them a tissue. They should know how to clean by themselves. Okay, if they have some problem, if they are unconscious patients, then we may do suctioning. If you find a lot of secretions, or if there are, maybe you have to moisten it and clean it, which is not now. We will do it all in critical care, not now. So mainly, what are the procedures which we are going to do from this chapter? We are going to give bed bath. Okay, we are going to concentrate about mouth care, especially it is different for conscious patient and unconscious patient. These two are regular daily care. Okay, I said about hair wash, though it's not regular, but whenever it is possible, we'll be giving hair wash also. Okay, and there is one more care called perineal care. So if patient is helpless, totally unconscious, can't do anything by himself, we need to take care of perineal care also. So these four are the procedures which you will be learning in the laboratory. Next week, you will learn about it. But you should understand the scientific background behind it. These are all the problems which can occur if we don't care for these patients. They are not like normal people. They are in the bed for longer duration. So they can have all these problems occurring to them. Okay, apart from this, what are the other things which are very important? I'm sure section 10 has already practiced bed making. Section 20 will be doing tomorrow. So another hygienic environment which is very important is bed making. Okay, don't worry, you're going to learn about it tomorrow. What is bed making? Just changing the bed of the patient every day. Okay, if the patient can move out of the bed, make him sit on a chair and you change the bed. Okay, that is called unoccupied bed. Why is it called unoccupied bed? Patient is not in the bed, freely you can change the sheets. Okay, we saw about patients who are unconscious. So they will be still in the bed, but you will move them to one side and change the sheet. And you will move them to the other side and change the sheet. Okay, you're going to see the procedure. Don't worry about it. So bed making also is very, very important to keep their area clean, to improve their comfort, to make a clean and neat environment. Okay, and so we are going to see about occupied, unoccupied bed and surgical bed. Of course, the patients who finish surgery, Amelia, I think, no, in Arabic, if I'm right, I don't know, Amelia. So after they come back from surgery, the bed is going to be a little different because there is a purpose behind it. So we will be learning about all that in the laboratory. So hygiene includes the environment also, and the environment is the bed making, the bed which we change every day for the patients. Okay. So far, any doubts if any of you have? Girls, boys? Let me see the chat if I can. Okay. I was waiting for one student. Can I call out? If Abdullah has come. Abdullah, no. Abdullah is still absent. Okay. Sulaiman is here, right? In between, you joined. Sulaiman Al-Kindi.
Yes.
Sulaiman, why you were late? Sorry to ask you in front of everybody. It's not that I see, if you come on time, it's good for you. You can join everybody. You can, if you listen in the class, 80% of your learning occurs. So do not join late for the class from next week. This is only first week, no problem. See, I'm starting on time and I'm leaving you all on time. We are not, I'm not keeping you till 4 o'clock and doing things like that. So if you join on time, it's good for you. Okay, Suleiman? Okay, so this week, no problem. Next week, I should see you on time. And if any of you are friend to Abdullah, please ask him to meet me. Okay. Okay, what is the page number for the conditions of the mouth? Just give me 2 minutes. I have my book here. I will tell you. All the discussions which we did, is in page number 695. Okay. The chapter is called Hygiene, 695 in your book. And specifically this mouth, okay, mouth is okay, page number 716. 715, 716, you turn and see there is a box. Okay, table number 33.6. There is a table. So halitosis, glossitis, gingivitis. Okay, I took only the important conditions, but everything is there. You said aspiration. Okay, aspiration, A-S-P-A, no, wrong. A-S-P-I-R-A-T-I-O-N. That's all. Otherwise correct. P-I, not A. Okay, it's called aspiration. What is aspiration? As someone said, simply it is choking. Okay, instead of water going inside your esophagus, it goes into your trachea, lungs. It goes into your lungs. Okay, patient can die because of that. That's why we have some special oral care for unconscious patients. Okay, any other doubts, girls, boys? Okay, this is a very simple topic. You just read it today itself so that you know the important points which you should remember. I will be posting few questions for you to work out in the, what is that? In your Edmodo. I'm sure all of you are there in Edmodo. Okay, I want to say some announcements for you. I still hear from Dr. Leo that still some boys have not sent your names for EBP. We asked, you know, two of you pairing with each other, who wants to be together. We asked you to select your partner, but still some of you have not sent the names. Please send it so that we can give you your topics. Okay, that is one thing. And I want to announce about the quiz. You remember the first quiz is on week 5. So whatever is the portion till week 4. So first week you learnt about medical asepsis. This week about hygiene. Next week vital signs and pain management. Following week you will learn about activity and exercise. So till that topic we will be giving you quiz. Okay, 10 questions. Okay, there will be 3 times we will be having this quiz, 10 items, 10 items, 10 items. And all together we will take it for 10%. Okay, so please prepare yourself. I don't want you to prepare it on the 4th week. Prepare it every now and then. It is very easy for you so that you can score good marks. We want all of you to get grade A. That is all in your hands, not in my hands. Okay, so any doubts you have, you can always come and approach us and ask us your doubts. Okay, the last thing. Any doubts you have? Okay, next week also my topic only, I'm continuing. Okay, we are not going to talk about hygiene. Hygiene is over. We will be talking about vital signs. Okay, vital, the name itself we know, vital means very important. So we are going to talk about it. From that topic, it's more interesting than whatever we have seen. But I want you to prepare before the class something and come. Shall I give a work or not? Yes, no? Girls, boys, I know it's sleeping time. Hope you are not sleeping. Shall I give a small?
Yes, you can.
Yes, okay. So next week, we will be, we are going to learn about temperature, pulse, blood pressure, so many things, isn't it? So I want you to read about the temperature regulation. I'm sure you all know about it. It's very easy. We know which is the area in the brain which is controlling the body temperature, you know. Okay, so I want you to read about how our body is controlling the temperature. When it increases, how does it control? When it decreases, how does it control? Which part of the brain is controlling that? Just read about it and what you have learned only in anatomy and physiology, read and come, so that it's easy for our understanding and discussion. All right. Okay, you will be reading. I will not remind you. Monday, we will all see each other. If there is no other question, I would like to leave you. Anybody has anything to ask? Please send your names for the assignment, EPP assignment, so that we can share the assignment with you. That's all I have. And remember to study for the quiz. Thank you. Shall I close the meeting? Anything else you want to ask?